Hello 8th class students. Now we are going to start the chapter reflection of light at plane surfaces. So light, actually this chapter is very big and plays an important role because the continuation of this chapter will be there in the 9th class and again in the 10th class. But in 8th class you have very basic knowledge of this particular chapter. So I am going to cover up the chapter on the whole, like you will get the knowledge of 9th and 10th as well. Those topics also we will be discussing in this particular chapter, but we will not be going at a stretch. We will be giving priority to the 8th class syllabus first, okay, but there will be a very slight extension of these topics in our later on classes. So watch these videos. First I am going to provide you with the animation versions, then as usual we will be going with the textbook explanation, then question and answer discussion from the workbook. In these three formats we are going to cover this chapter. Thank you.
Hello friends, this video on Light Part 4 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we are coming to the first and the basic topic of light, that is reflection of light. So it is due to this reflection of light that you are able to see yourself on the mirror, you are able to see the images of so many different objects. So we are able to see all the things around us. So for all of these, reflection of light is responsible. So let us try to understand what it is. Reflection is bouncing back of a ray of light when it strikes a boundary between media through which it cannot pass. What does it mean? It means that light will always come from a source. So any object which is luminous, which is capable of producing light. So light will obviously come from that object. So how will the light come? It will come in the form of rays. Now when that ray of light is falling on some other object, or it is falling on some other boundary, some other object, some other surface through which it cannot go further, which doesn't allow the light rays to go further. So in that case what happens? It bounces back from that surface, and that bouncing back is known as reflection. So just now in the previous example, you saw the example of playing card. Now as long as we provided the holes, that time light was passing through them. But when instead of the hole you play the playing card, so that doesn't allow light. So what happens? Light bounces back. So look at some of the examples or some of the applications where reflection of light takes place. Have you ever seen, if you have ever been near a river or a lake or a pond, and you would have seen that the images of the nearby objects are formed in the water. So how do you have this image formation? So see here, the hill. So there is just one hill which exists here. This one is the image of this hill which is formed in the water. You see yourself in the mirror. So you also see images of so many different objects. So from where do you get, this is just one object, right? But still you are able to see another object in the mirror. So how is that happening? That is all happening due to bouncing back of a ray of light. So let us assume, now what do I mean by different media? Media means anything, any object through which the light is traveling. For example, if light is coming from the sun, let us just a rough example. Let us say this is sun and a ray of light is coming from the sun and it hits an object here. Okay, so this object is an opaque object. It doesn't allow light to pass through it. So what will happen? Light will bounce back. So this bouncing back. So basically you can say that light had struck a surface, light had struck a boundary which was between two media, because this medium was air, light was traveling through air in this case, but after it touched it, this is no more air, this is some object, maybe either wood or it is glass or it is metal or something else. So the two different media, and this is the boundary. So as soon as it had struck the boundary, it was not allowed to go further, that's why it bounced back. So this bouncing back is called reflection of light. Now let us look at some of the important terminologies associated with reflection of light. Now, with reflection of light, the first thing that we want to understand is how image formation takes place. How do we see ourselves in mirror? How do we see the objects around us? Those are the basic things that we want to understand by knowing reflection of light. Now, in order to understand these simple concepts, we have to be aware of some simple things or some simple facts related to reflection. So, the first thing we should know is incident ray. What do we mean by incident ray? Ray, we already know it is nothing but a ray of light. Incident, the ray of light which strikes the boundary or the surface. That means this is that ray which is coming from the source of light, or it is not always necessary that it is coming from the source of light. It can either come from the source of light, that is a luminous object, or it can also come from some other object which is acting as a source of light. Correct? So from wherever the ray of light is coming and it is falling on the surface, that ray is called incident ray. So let us suppose this is a mirror. So mirror is nothing but a surface, because mirror is a boundary which is separating two medium. This side is air and this side is glass. So mirror is acting as a boundary. So this ray of light which falls or which strikes the boundary is called incident ray. The next one is reflected ray. Now, as soon as the incident ray strikes the mirror, what happens? Mirror doesn't allow it to go further, so it bounces back. And so the ray which is bouncing back, that is called the reflected ray. So it is the ray which is sent back by the surface after reflection for a given incident ray. That means for every incident ray, there will be a corresponding reflected ray. Third is normal. What is normal? It is a perpendicular to the surface at the point of incidence. What is point of incidence? This point at which the incident ray strikes the surface. That is called point of incidence. So this is point of incidence. And normal is a perpendicular which is drawn to the surface. This is the surface, mirror is the surface, and this is the point of incidence. Right? Now this is an imaginary line, so normal doesn't exist in reality. So even if you try to understand, or if you try to see the reflection of light practically, you will not be able to see normal, because normal is a hypothetical line, it is an imaginary line. So why are we imagining such a line? Because knowing normal, we will be able to tell the direction or the inclination of the incident ray and the reflected ray. So we will get to know the significance of normal in a little while, but normal cannot be seen because it doesn't exist at all. So we have created it in our imagination to help us in understanding the concept of reflection. Next is angle of incidence, that is the angle between incident ray and normal. So this is the angle of incidence. And the angle of reflection, which is nothing but the angle between normal and the reflected ray. So this is the angle of reflection. Now why are these two important? Because these are the angles which actually tell us at what orientation the rays are striking a surface and they are getting reflected. So here normal acts as a reference which helps you to define these angles of incidence and reflection. Now we often denote normal with a capital N, and angle of incidence is denoted as angle I, angle of reflection is denoted as angle R. So basically normal divides the angles between the incident ray and the reflected ray. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again. Hello friends, this video on Light Part 7 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now the most interesting part, how is our image formed in the mirror? So now we exactly want to know that how that big image of ours happens, how this entire thing exactly happens. Let us look at the basic concept once again. So if this is your object, let us assume that the object is a point object. We are considering one point as an object. So rays of light from this object will fall on the mirror. So all the red colored rays which you are seeing, they are the incident rays. So you see bunch of incident rays falling on the mirror. As soon as they fall on the mirror, they will get reflected. And in which direction they will get reflected? So that is determined by angle of incidence and angle of reflection. So let me try to draw the normal, so that will give you a better idea. So the normal to the mirror, this is the mirror, so perpendicular to the mirror is this line. So now you see for this object, this is the incident ray, so this is going to be the angle of incidence. Now we know angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. So the reflected ray will be in this direction. Now the same thing is true for all of these. So therefore this is how the reflected rays will be after the reflection. Now do you think that these reflected rays will meet anywhere in reality, anywhere on this side? No. So if you if you try to draw them on the other side, you see that they all tend to converge at this point. So therefore image is formed at this point. So this is how we see that, and any object will have an image formed on the other side of the mirror such that the distance of the object from the mirror and the distance of the image from the mirror is exactly equal. So if this distance is d, then this distance is also d. So the image will form exactly similar to the object, same size, and it will be formed at the same distance from the mirror as the object is from the mirror. Right? Now this simple concept is applicable for image formation for any object of any shape. So here if you consider human beings, so here also you can consider that each part of our body is nothing but a point object. So that is how the image is formed on the other side. So let us suppose if you consider this point, so from this point the incident rays are coming like this. All the red colored lines are incident rays and the green ones are the reflected rays. So these reflected rays when joined together forms the image here. So point wise the images are formed of the object, and as a result you get your entire image like this. So now you know how do you see yourself in the mirror, correct? So now the question is, we see so many different sizes of mirror, right? Now, do you think that you are able to get a full size image of yours in all the mirrors? If the mirror is very small, do you get a full size image of yours? No. So how tall a mirror should be so that you can see a full size image of yours? That could be an interesting question, right? Now look at this picture. So if you see here, how do you see your image? We see it with the help of our eyes. And how do our eyes see it? When the light reflected or when the reflected rays reach our eyes, we are able to see that object. Now if the reflected rays from that object doesn't reach our eyes, then we do not see that object. That is the simple funda, right? So in this case also, if you see, for this is my object, this is the image. But from this image, this is the reflected ray, correct? Similarly here also for this image, this is the reflected ray. So these two rays reach our eye in this way. So basically from here, you can see the feet of the image like this. So basically you need only this much portion of the mirror. So if you have only this much portion of the mirror, you will be able to see your full size image. So in order to view your image, only this much portion of the mirror is required. So that is why you would have seen that the mirror in which you actually see your full size image, the mirror is not as tall as you are, because that is not needed. So look at this picture. So this is your object, this is the incident ray. This ray gets reflected like this and reaches your eyes, correct? Similarly here, this is the incident ray. And how will be the reflected ray? The reflected ray will also be in this direction only, because angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. So the same line will be a reflected ray. And these two reflected rays, if you extend back, what do you see? So you can actually see it from your eyes to the entire height of this person. So basically this much portion of the mirror helps you to see it. Now what would happen if the mirror is smaller than this? So basically we can say that the mirror has to be half the length of your height. So whatever is your height, half of that should be the minimum size of the mirror to see a full size image of yours. Now what would happen if the mirror is smaller than that size? If the mirror is say 1/4 of your height, in that case what will happen? So as you can see here, in that case this is how the incident rays will come, but the reflected rays will go like this. So a lot of reflected rays will actually not reach your eyes. If the reflected rays are not reaching your eyes, you will not be able to see that particular image. In this case, all the reflected rays were reaching your eyes, correct? But in this case, the reflected rays are not reaching your eyes, and that is why you will not be able to see the full size image. So as you can see from the bottom part here, so somewhere here would be the normal. So when this is your angle of incidence for this incident ray, so this is how it will get reflected. So it is not reaching your eyes, so you will not be able to see the bottom part. So that this is how we decide how much should be the height of the mirror. So we say that mirror height should be approximately half the height of the person to see a full size image, or to see the full height of the image. So I hope this is clear. So the only concept is that only if the reflected rays reach our eyes, we will be able to see that particular thing. So in this case, what are we trying to see? We are trying to see this, our mirror image. Now, in first case, all the reflected rays from top to bottom, all of them are reaching our eyes. So we are able to see. In the last case, the bottom part, the reflected rays of the bottom part is not reaching our eyes, so we are not able to see the bottom part of the image. So it is a very simple thing. So based on whatever we have discussed so far, what can we tell about the type of image which is formed by a plane mirror? So some of the characteristics are, the image is always virtual because the reflected rays never really meet. They appear to meet. So so how do we make them meet? We actually make them meet behind the mirror by extrapolating the lines. But the image is always erect. That is well proved, because when you stand in front of the mirror, do you see an inverted image of yours? No. So the image is always erect. Same size as that of the object. It is neither small nor magnified. Image is formed behind the mirror. So if object is on this side, the image is always on the other side. Distance of image behind mirror is same as distance of object from mirror. So this distance and this distance is always equal. So these are some of the characteristics of the image formed by a plane mirror. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again. Hello friends, this video on Light Part 9 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So discussion on light would remain incomplete if we don't talk about sunlight. So the light which we receive from the sun. So now we are going to spend some time discussing that. Now have you ever wondered or have you ever observed what is the color of sunlight? So if you look at it closely, you would see that the sunlight appears to be white in color. So does that mean that it is just white color and nothing else? Well, not really. So if you look even more closely, you will get to know that the sunlight, which appears to be white, is actually made up of 7 different colors. That sounds interesting, right? So how do we get to know that it is made up of 7 different colors? Do you know what is a prism? So a prism is nothing but a structure which is made up of 3 rectangular glass pieces. So, but it is entirely solid, so it is not hollow from inside. So just now we had discussed about kaleidoscope. So there we talked about different colored patterns like right, red, green, blue, yellow, and so many other colors. But for every time, whenever we want reflection to happen, we need sunlight. or we need light. So when we talk about light, the first thing that strikes our mind is sunlight. So if possible, just try to have a look at a prism. Take a prism. It is nothing but a glass made up of glass. It is a transparent object and it is arranged in such a way that the sides, it is like a triangle, but at the same time each side is a parallelogram. So here you can see the pictures of prism. This is how it looks like. So if you take prism and you make sunlight pass through it, so sunlight which normally looks white to us, when this white light is passed through the prism, we see that the light splits into 7 different colors. So this shows that sunlight is composed of 7 different colors. So here again we encounter another property of light, that is called dispersion. So what do we mean? What is the meaning of disperse? Disperse means to spread away. So it is nothing but splitting of light into its constituent colors. So when you pass white light through a prism, it gets distributed or it gets spread into its constituent colors, and this process is known as dispersion, and these colors of light which you receive, that is known as spectrum. So you say this is called the white light spectrum, that is all different colors which together form the white light, that is known as white light spectrum. So this property of light, that is dispersion, again is something very interesting, and we see it in a lot of natural phenomena. So one best example of dispersion of light is rainbow. So rainbow, you would have seen it in the sky after a rain or before a rain. So when the weather is like sunny, but at the same time there was a huge rainfall, so that's when you see a rainbow. So how do you see this rainbow? What happens? You just see a stream of 7 colors appearing in the sky. So from where do these colors come to the sky? So they are nothing but result of dispersion. Now you might ask that for dispersion to take place we needed a prism, but where is the prism here? Now what acts as the prism in case of rainbow is the water droplets. Now whenever it rains, before and after rains, you have lot of water droplets suspended in the atmosphere. So these water droplets which remain suspended in the atmosphere, they act as prism. So when light passes through them, it gets divided into its constituent colors. So the white light gets dispersed by the raindrops which are present in the atmosphere, and each water drop acts as a tiny glass prism. So rainbow is a classic natural spectrum of sunlight which is seen in the sky. Now you will also get to understand how exactly rainbow formation happens in class 11th. In class 12th, when you already know about reflection and refraction and total internal reflection. So when you know all those concepts, then you will understand in detail how rainbow formation takes place. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again. Hello friends, this video on Light Part 8 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we are going to talk about another important and another interesting aspect of image formation in plane mirror. Now we saw how our image is formed in the mirror. But have you ever observed that when you stand in front of the mirror, your right appears left and your left appears right on the mirror? If you write something, say, just look at this picture. So this is, if you call this as your right and this as your left, but when you see in the mirror, you see your right is on this side now. So this hand which was earlier right, now it is on the left side and the other hand is on the right side. So it has got reversed. Similarly, so this phenomenon of reversal of mirror image left and right as compared to the object is known as lateral inversion. Inversion means something getting reversed, something getting inverted. So what is getting inverted here? Left and right. Left becomes right, right becomes left. So this is called lateral inversion, and it happens for all image formation in plane mirrors. It always happens. Now the question is, why does that happen and why should that happen? Now for a while, let us just assume, we are just trying to assume that there is no lateral inversion. So in that case, the image should be like this. If we assume that lateral inversion should not happen, why should it happen? Now from our knowledge, whatever we have gained till now, we know that the distance of the object from the mirror is equal to the distance of the image from the mirror. So if this is your mirror, this is the object, then this has to be the image, and then this distance, if this is your object and this is your image, then this distance is equal to this distance. And we also have learned that the entire image formation happens in the similar concept, that each part of our body, everywhere in our body, is considered to be one point. And for each of those points, an image is formed on the other side of the mirror. Now, let us just consider any one point on this image. So let us say I am considering the tip of this finger. So this is my point. So I am considering this is my object, right? Because this is a point on the object. So then, as per my knowledge, this distance, that is distance of this point from the mirror, should be equal to the distance of the corresponding point of the image. So in this picture, it holds true because this distance and this distance are equal. Now let us see if it holds true in this case. In this case, the distance of this is this much, but the distance of this from the mirror is this much, which is not equal. So in this case, it doesn't hold true. Now, if you compare it for any point, so for any of the points, you will see that the distances are not equal. So let us assume this point. So if you take this point, so here the distance is this much, but here the distance is quite less. But in this case, you see, you compare it, the distance of the object is equal to the distance of the image. So with this, you can conclude that images cannot form like this. And that is why we have the concept of lateral inversion, because the entire image formation happens on that concept of point object and point image. So for every point on your body, an image is being formed. So when it happens point wise, so that then you actually end up getting a inverted or a reverted image. So in this case, what happens is the light which is traveling from the left hand side of the object is reflected straight back, and it appears to us as if it is coming from the right hand side of the image. So basically, with the help of the image distance and object distance, I think you can understand it pretty well. Now let us look at some more examples of lateral inversion. So this was all incorrect, and this is the correct one. Now you can see lateral inversion very clearly with something written. For example, you write light. Now the mirror image of light will be something like this. That is also the same concept. You see, the distance of t from the mirror should be equal to distance of t from the mirror. The distance of h is again the same. So for each of the point on the entire text, you will see that the image distance is equal to object distance. So if you place a mirror like this, so then the laterally inverted image will be somewhat like this, because here also you see the distance is always remaining the same. So with this concept of lateral inversion, you can also explain these type of phenomena where you see in case of object, this is the top and this is the bottom. But when you look at the image, it is inverted. So this has become the bottom and this has become the top has become the bottom. So this concept of lateral inversion is very common and it is very important. So with this, we have understood reflection of light, and we also got to understand how reflection of light helps us to see our images, how it helps us to see the objects around us. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more educational videos with a better experience. Please do not forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for latest updates. Thank you once again.